reunion. Action.
This one's for you, Tommy.
What up, everybody? I am here to go ahead and actually do a reaction to the trailer that we got for the Martin show that's happening June 16th on BET Plus. So I would just want to talk about some of the things that I expect to see out of it, some things that I want to go ahead and actually see from it, and just get you guys general thoughts on it. So it dropped a couple days ago for BET Plus. Is going to go and actually do a Martin reunion show, very much in the same vein like it did for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on HBO Max and other shows that have been doing reunion shows all over the place, right? The Martin cast is doing that. And off top, I will just tell you, obviously this is well overdue for anybody that is a Martin fan, and I will show you that I am a true Martin fan on it. All right, so for those of y'all that want to know if I am one of those fans, I definitely am. Here is a painting that I have from, I believe it's Canvas Creations, I believe is the name of the website that I got this particular painting from. And this has obviously the cast of Martin going ahead and actually being with the cast of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So this is hanging over my setup here at home because honestly, as I've said before, it is one of the most impactful shows for me growing up. I can talk about any episode with any type of the characters, even the ones that, you know, in the 5th season when it went off the rails and Martin wasn't there or anything like that. I'm still about that Martin life. So there's no bigger fan than me of that particular show. So I'm super excited about it. It's a long time coming. Unfortunately, obviously, with the passing of Thomas Michael Ford, it's not going to be the complete cast, which is highly unfortunate. I wish it could have actually been done where the entire cast is there. We all know that there's problems behind the scenes that didn't allow it to happen, but it is what it is. So let's talk about some of the things that I would expect to go and actually happen, and or I would like to go ahead and actually see occur or talk about on the show. Obviously, first and foremost, we got to talk about the elephant in the room of Martin and Tisha's blow up, the situation with the legal stuff. Now, they may or may not have any legal issues that they have to go ahead and actually do or sign off on or what have you. Maybe not touch on it a whole lot, go into it in depth, because it seems like the fact that they can sit in the same room now, they can do this. You know, she's divorced from Dwayne Martin now, and things like that. I'm sure this is going to lend itself to have a lot more of a frank conversation. But the bottom line is, we want a little bit more details than maybe we got into in the past. So whatever details that they could go ahead and actually divulge, that I'm not looking for them to go and actually go blow by blow, but we want to know what interrupted what was quite possibly one of, I would say, one of the top 5 impact shows in the Black community, and why did that have to go ahead and subside? And we know that that case was largely due to it. So let's talk about it, get into it. So the other part of it that we need to go and actually address in that reunion is Martin's personal issues. Obviously, he had some issues, mental health issues that he had to deal with. He was taking medications. He had a whole thing as far as having a gun out in the middle of the street, all that kind of stuff. So all this stuff contributed to the show ending. And we got to talk about that a little bit, because had those two things not have happened, I feel like that show could have gone on to go and actually go a couple more seasons. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, it would have been like ridiculous amount, like 10 seasons or whatever. But it definitely could have gone to, I think there was a natural progression to go ahead and actually get up to the point where Martin and Gina would go ahead and actually have a kid, and kind of like the dissolution of the group, you know, that they, you know, then they will move on with their lives naturally, organically, you know, after Martin and Gina marry, they have a kid. Maybe Cole gets with Shanice and they go and actually get married. And who knows, maybe Tommy and Pam end up together, maybe they don't or whatever. At the end of the show, we go and actually find out what Tommy actually does, which we do know what Tommy does. And if you don't know what he does, that's on you. I can't help you with that. But I can tell you, it's out there. I might go ahead, if somebody goes and actually asks me in the comments, I might tell you what it is. But he definitely, what he does is actually known in the show. They just kind of flipped on it. So those are the two major things that I think that definitely need to get hashed out for that. Obviously, another thing that we need to talk about on a reunion show is obviously the impact of Tommy, as far as, obviously him passing away, and what did that do for the rest of the group? Did that have a hand in everybody kind of figuring like, hey, we need to come together and squash this or what have you? I mean, it would be sad if that was the case, but it would also be poetic that Tommy, who was like the glue, the rock, the reasonable voice on the show, that the death of him would go ahead and actually cause that we're now going to actually getting the reunion or what have you. So I just would like, obviously they're going to have stories about him because the man is no longer with us, but just kind of talk about his impact on the cast and crew and all that kind of good stuff. Another one that I really want to hear them talk about is Garrison Morrison's departure from Martin after, I believe that's season 2. Remember, obviously Garrett Morrison played Stan on the show, and he had some issues and stuff going on. He was actually in an accident, and then he actually also has some issues and stuff with the government, all this kind of stuff. But bottom line is that he actually found out that he wasn't going to be on the show while he was in the hospital recovering. And so I would just like to know if that, what impact that had on the crew. Did Martin know anything about it, him being the star of it? And because honestly, that Stan and the Sean characters were some of the most beloved characters on the show. And the fact that kind of went away, was this truly a studio showrunner type of thing? Or was this something that was a little bit more internal? So I would love to have them talk about that. Maybe have him on the reunion. It would be nice if they have Garrett Morrison on there so that we can kind of talk about that. We also, I'm sure they're going to do it, but talk about their favorite scenes, their favorite episodes, their favorite characters, all that kind of good stuff, because we want to know behind the scenes as far as what did y'all really love? What did y'all like doing and stuff like that? Which ones cracked y'all up? Which ones y'all couldn't get through? I'm going to tell you, one of the best things about the show of Martin is that you could tell they had fun filming it. At least those first 3 seasons, most definitely. You could see that there was ad-lib work, that they just did all kinds of stuff. They really vibed with each other, and they all knew comedy, and everybody stayed in their lane. As a result, I think all of them became stronger comedic actors through all that. Gina went on to success in My Wife and Kids, and she had very good comedy timing with Damon Wayans. I don't think she would have had that had she not been on Martin. Tashina Arnold obviously went on to do some fun things in her role as being in Everybody Hates Chris. She was just hilarious in that. Carl Anthony Payne has done some projects afterwards, and he actually already had good comedy chops coming in there from the Cosby Show and things that he had done before, but he actually brought it very well going forward. And then of course Martin, doing his thing or what have you. So I really would just like to go and actually know what were their favorite things and times together and all that kind of good stuff. 2 more things that I think that I'd really like to go and actually hear them talk about is what do they feel is their impact into both the Black community and mainstream? Because one, as far as in the Black community, obviously there are people like myself, like Martin is my favorite all-time sitcom show of all time. It just is. And I know a lot of people that would rank it up there, if not their favorite, within the top 3 or 5. And it was very important, especially in the 90s, of coming of age, of coming down with the Rodney King riots and things of that nature that happened, and just the cultural shift of being more Afrocentric in the 90s, the culture of basketball. You had women's WNBA and stuff, and that's starting to kick off, and women's the next movement for women to kind of get some love. Black women in particular starting to go ahead and actually gain a foothold and get some type of say-so in Hollywood on top of, men being our typical male driven ego selves on there. These black actors and actresses portrayed strong black characters in a world where they were positive. I mean, even though Martin was a little buffoonish and all that kind of stuff at times, you could tell he loved his woman. He wanted to work. He wanted to get out there and do what he wanted to. He wanted to make it big, but he was only one to do it when actually had his friends, and he wanted to be able to bring his friends up and all that kind of good stuff. Gina being a successful advertising woman and being very integral to her job and her boss or what have you, where she was moving up the corporate ladder or what have you. And then everybody else that was on that show, everybody was supporting each other and living, and they were positive, and just the impact that they actually had on black culture. I'd like to see them talk about that. And then the mainstream aspect of it is that, be honest with you, they were part of that essential Thursday night lineup on Fox, where for about a good 4 seasons or so, that they anchored and helped keep Fox afloat with the 3 shows that I would go and actually say on the Fox Thursday night lineup, and then 2 mainstream shows. The Fox Thursday night lineup of Martin, In Living Single, and New York Undercover were must-see TV, and Fox being the 4th network trying to enter in and trying to gain a foothold. A lot of young people don't know this, but Fox didn't exist back in the 80s. There was no Fox channel or anything like that. They came about in like 87, 88, somewhere around about that time, and they were just looking for, material, what have you, and stuff. And so them going ahead and actually, they started off weak. They had a whole lot of failures or what have you. 2 strong shows that kind of kept them afloat for a little bit was The Simpsons and Married with Children. Also, you know what? I don't want to sleep on In Living Color as well. Those 3 shows gave them enough ratings and substantiability so that they can go and actually maintain until they kind of figure stuff out. And then in, 92, 93-ish, when they had that Thursday night lineup, that cemented them. That made them real players. And so I would love for the team to go and actually talk about that mainstream influence of what their show did for Fox and what it meant for everybody overall. So I would love for them to talk about that aspect of it, because I think it's very important for everything to just get out there and for them to acknowledge what they impact of comedy and sitcoms. And the last thing that I definitely want them to go and actually talk about, one, if they actually happen to see the gritty reboot fake trailer that a young artist or a young I don't know who he was before this, but Bobby Huntley did a hilarious gritty reboot trailer for the Martin Show. And so I would love to see, if they saw that, what they thought about it, if they liked it, if they didn't like it or anything like that, what their thoughts are. And then obviously we get into the last portion of it is, would they consider doing a reboot or a continuation, whether it be episodic and be like a limited series. I doubt that they would be interested in actually bringing back the show in its entirety or what have you and getting back on a network or anything of that nature. But like a limited series of saying like, hey, we're going to kind of do a set like 6 episodes where we kind of show where they are now type of thing. Or even like a made for TV movie-esque, it could be like a Netflix or Hulu type thing or something like that where, hey, it's a 2-hour deal, you're going to get this and this is going to be it, but they go and actually write that, get the original writers and all that kind of stuff and have at it, just have fun concluding everything, because I do not think that it ended the way that anybody would have anticipated or wanted it. Even the writers themselves, even though they knew at the beginning of season 5 that they were going to have to wrap it up and they were going to have to do what they had to do or what have you, the way that everything happened and Gina wouldn't be in the same room with Martin and just no, that last season, while it really spoke to the capability of Tashina Arnold, Carl Anthony Payne and Thomas Michael Ford of being able to kind of carry the show, while the other two main actors and actresses are not being able to interact with each other. They're not on the screen as much or anything like that. It was a tribute to those characters that they were able to kind of limp along and bring season 5. While I didn't have a whole bunch of funny episodes, it had decent enough ones that you could at least be like, hey, I'm still tuning in. But it was not the same as it was in the first 3 seasons. Season 4 was it was shaky. It was here and there and something like that, but it was still a decent Martin show. But 5 was off the rails. But just interested to see if they would be willing to come back and do the characters justice. Even though we won't have Tommy there, even though we can't have a full-fledged story out the way that we should have, I think it would do all parties involved, and that's including the actors and actresses and the original writers and showrunners and everybody who really found success with that show. I would love to see if they'd be open to doing something in the realm of a reboot, or no, you know what? I apologize. I don't want a reboot. I want an actual either limited series or like a 2-hour finale, done deal over there. But that's what I'm hoping to get out of this reunion. So hopefully they do it. They answer most of the questions that I actually have. I'm also going to be honest with you. This will be the first time that I will think about. That's not even think about. I will sign up for a BET Plus. I'm hoping that it's a trial period type of thing that I can go and actually do, because unless they come up with another show that's exclusively on BET Plus, I don't know if I'm gonna be sticking with that service or not. But I love this show that much that I'm going to definitely tune in. I don't want to see a third hand. I don't want to hear about snippets here and there, so like that. I'm watching the show all the way through. So here's to hoping that the Martin reunion show is awesome, and that it answers a lot of these questions, and ultimately that it leads to some type of final resolution for all of us Martin fans and for those actors and actresses who brought so much joy to our lives. If you would like to go ahead and actually see the Bobby Huntley reboot figure, you don't know what I'm talking about or what have you, I'm going to attempt to attach it to this video, that you'll be able to go and actually see my reaction to it, my breakdown, because there's a lot of Easter eggs in it. If I'm not able to attach it here, I'll go and actually put the link in down below. We'd really like you to watch that, just so you can know exactly how funny and creative that dude was. But until next time, or until I do another review or what have you, take care of yourselves.